Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Lockdown Coverage Week number 4. The National Football League Detroit Lions on the road taking on the Minnesota Vikings in a little bit of NFC North family business. If these two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. And you know how the family do it. This was brutal. This was physical. It was nasty. It was fun. Good, always good to see two family members link up and do it for the family. This was one of those situations where they didn't do this to entertain anybody on the outside. This was all about handling family business. This wasn't any pageantry. This wasn't a celebrated event. This wasn't a, hey man, come over, we're gonna have a big spread, tons of food, tons to drink. You know, come over, relax, kick back. We'll talk about old times. It'll be fun. It wasn't one of those type of games. This was one of the type of games where a family member showed up at the house. It ain't shit to eat there, nothing to drink. This ain't nothing but a lot of conversation, a lot of business getting aired out. You chill for a little while, but at some point you're like, all right, man, I got to go. I'm starving, and there is nothing to eat here. I got to go. And the Lions said, hey, look, man, we are starving. We going to go home, but we going to go home with what little you got in your fridge. We're going to take that with us. And so they did. And the Vikings didn't have much, but it was enough for them to get what they needed to go back home and take that dub with them. It's fun to watch. When these type of defensive struggles break out, it's not pretty to a lot of people. 14-7 is not appealing to most. But to me, there's beauty in 14-7. Because that means one of two things. It's only pretty. It's only aesthetically pleasing to me when it's the first. When it's the former, not the latter. You got one or two options here when you go 14-7. Either it was some damn good defense, some guys flying around, ferocious defense, offenses were suffocating, or it was bad offense. All right, no one wants to see that. Could be a combination of both. I guess there's a third option here, combination of both. But this was the former. This was number one. This was good ass defense, and this was fun to watch. It sucked that the Vikings didn't have all of their guns for the entire game. No Bradford going into the game, but no excuses. The one that hurt the most was Dalvin Cook, and we'll talk about him and the ramifications of that when we get to the Vikings side of things. We're going to start with the Lions, but before we start with anybody, welcome to the Louie T Network. Thank you for joining me here on Lockdown Coverage, Lions and Vikings. If you haven't already done so, go ahead. What are you waiting on? Seriously, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. We're changing the game over here. I want you to help us do that by simply hitting the subscribe button, becoming a member of the Louie T Network. I've got multiple social media platforms. I've got Instagram. I've got Twitter. I've got Facebook. All of those are in the description below the video, so go ahead and check them out and link up. Also, if you want to donate to the Louie T Network, this is how you do it right here, via PayPal. Okay, the link is right there, but just in case I move it too quickly and boom, it's gone. The link is in the description. So hit the link. It'll take you straight to where you need to go to donate to this channel. Doesn't matter how big or how small. I appreciate them all. Anything that you can give will help this channel grow exponentially. And I thank you in advance for your contribution, whether it's monetarily or just watching, supporting, liking, and sharing the videos as you've done already. So I appreciate anything that you can give to this channel. And even if it's only a like and a view, I'll take it, and I appreciate it greatly. So, with that being said, let's get to this game. And it was pretty. If you're a Lions fan, this was pretty, man. 14-7. You don't care how you get them, man. You just want to get a dub, especially on the road in a division. They're hard to come by. Took the Lions 25 years to win in Green Bay. 24 years or 23 years. Over 20 years to win in Green Bay. They're hard to come by. Road victories in the division, tough to come by. You don't win in Minnesota very often either. And normally they kick your ass. And when I say kick your ass, I'm not talking scoreboard-wise. I'm talking about they bang you up. Matthew Stafford gets sacked 7 times, hit another 4, leaves the game battered and bruised. I remember one year, it might have been last year, it might have been 2 years ago. We were asking, can the Lions protect Matthew Stafford? And it was directly after an ass whooping administered by the Vikings on the road where we were asking, is he going to be okay? Not like, seriously, is he going to be all right for the remainder of the season? Because he can't keep taking ass whoopings like this. The Vikings beat him up, man. It was brutal. It was brutal. And this is what type of game it was in week 4. It was brutal. It was physical, not for the faint of heart. Despite being inside in a controlled environment, it was chaos inside that dome. And it was fun to watch. And we're going to start with the Lions offensively in this game. It wasn't pretty. You know, the one thing that I was proud of the Lions for in this game, and this is really starting to make me a believer in what they're doing, because in the past, it used to be Stafford, he's got to throw it 37 times for us to win. You know, Stafford's going to lead the league in passing attempts again. You know, he's going to be 115 more passing attempts ahead of the next closest quarterback to him, because Stafford's going to throw it 43 times. They're not going to make a concerted effort to run the football. That's not the case this year. And I wasn't a believer early on because I'm like, anybody can run it 25 times in a game, whatever. That was luck. Then you did it again last week versus the Falcons. Again, it wasn't for a ton of yards, but you stuck with the run. That was impressive. This week was the most impressive of them all. You know, you had the Giants game, you had the Falcons game, but this one took the cake for me. This one swayed me to believe that they're making a concerted effort. Jim Bob Cooter, JBC. Head coach Caldwell. And this whole staff, they're making a concerted effort to run the football. And it wasn't pretty early on. I told you, I don't care that he's running it, and I'm talking about L.A. I don't care that he's running it 14 times for 33 yards. I don't give a damn about that. It's about the attempts. The yards will come. If you continue to work at it, the yards will come. I care about the attempts. I care about the fact that you're not willing to give up on the run even when it's not working. I care about the fact that you are willing to remain balanced for the sake of this football team, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Stats don't matter, wins and losses do. And when this team runs the football with the way that they play defense, Stafford takes care of the ball, which he will if you run the football the way that you have, you're going to win games. Good defense plus run game equals wins on the road. It's an old, very, very ancient way of life in the NFL. But it's tested, it's timeless, and it's stand the test of time. You take a good defense, you add in a solid run game, and you've got the makings of a dangerous team, because anybody can win at home. Hell, a bad team can win at home. But you know why the bad teams are bad? It's because they can't take that act on the road. They can't be good teams on the road. The good teams are good for a reason, because they can beat you at home, but they can also take the show on the road. And most teams that are able to take the show on the road are the ones that can run the football and play defense. And the Lions have had half of that equation before. They've been able to play defense, but that run game has always been lacking. You ran it in this game. L.A. almost had 100 yards against the Vikings defense that is supposed to be able to stop the run. 20 carries, 94 yards. That's over 4 a pop. That's beautiful. That's gorgeous. L.A. was outstanding in this game. The run blocking was outstanding. Now, the pass protection wasn't. We're going to get to that in a second. But look, the reason why that wasn't your undoing, the reason why the passing game and the lack thereof and the lack of pass protection wasn't your undoing in this game was because you remained resilient in the run game. You ran the football down the Vikings' throat. And even when it wasn't successful, you ran it anyway. That's how you win in this league, by remaining balanced. I know it's a passing league. I know there are teams out there that can say, to hell with the run game. We're going to throw it 47 times. And you used to be one of them. And you can win that way. But you can't sustain that way. That's not a sustainable way of winning in this league. It's not a sustainable way of life in this league. Because at some point, some team's going to catch up with your ass that can shut down your passing attack. And if you don't have a run game to fall back on, guess what? You're in trouble. The Lions have figured it out. They figured out the formula for success. It's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to equal 33 points. Hell, most weeks it's not going to equal 27 points. It's going to equal more like 24, more like 20. Or in this game, 14. But it's a win. And that's the most gratifying thing that you can get after a ball game is a win. I don't give a damn about 27 points if the opposition has 28. Shit, we didn't score enough. I don't care. It's nice to score 33, except for when your opponent scores 36. You still lose. 14, generally, not enough to win in this league. It is when the opposition scores 7. Now, you're going to have to pass protect a hell of a lot better than you did in this game. And I know you've got a sieve at left tackle in Greg Robinson. I understand. You got to make do with what you got. But your right tackle's getting his ass whooped too. First snap of the game, Danielle Hunter beats your right tackle off the snap. Finds his way to Matthew Stafford. Lucky he didn't fumble the damn football. They harassed him. We'll get to that when we talk about the Vikings. Your O-line needs to be better in pass protection. I don't care how good you run the football. What good is running the football if you can't go play action fake off of it? If you can't take advantage of what you've built through the run game in the pass game. The run is supposed to help set up the pass. But that doesn't matter if you can't pass protect. Got to be better. Stafford got his ass whooped. Got his ass handed to him in this game. But the run game and the defense were your saving grace. And you got it done. Let's talk about this defense. Because the defense was ferocious in this game. And I've seen it coming. This has been coming since the start of the season. I told you in week 1, Anthony Zettel, man, he looks impressive. I told you I liked him out of Penn State. Say, Anthony Zettel, look out. I didn't know where you were going to get pressure from on his defense. Now, one of his sacks, how do you not block a guy on 4th down? Don't ask me. I don't know the answer to that. That's special. I don't know anything about that. I'm just a professional football watcher. I don't know about, maybe you should block a guy on 4th down and not have a free hitter after your quarterback on 4th down for the game. Hey, I don't know. Anyway, still 2 sacks, a fumble recovery. The man was on it. The man was on it in this game. I told you about Anthony Zettel. Glover Quinn is outstanding. I told you for a long time I like Glover Quinn. I like what he brings to the table. And he continues to be a huge part of what you do defensively on this football team. Huge, huge part. And to force 3 fumbles and to recover them all, and really you didn't force 2 of them. Doesn't matter. To recover 3 fumbles and to change the dynamics of this game, and you forced that fumble at the end, which was huge. Because you remember how the game went last year? Remember that game? Where you were trailing in Minnesota, should have lost. They dominated you. You come back, you score at the last second, send the game to overtime, and then you throw the pass to Golden Tate. He runs in the end zone, does the flip. You win the game in overtime. Remember that? That's the same exact thing that was about to happen to your ass. They were going to drive it down the field. They were going to score a touchdown. They were going to tie the game up. They were going to come back, go to overtime, and they were going to beat your ass. And you'd have been sitting here sick to your stomach today. That was going to happen. I'm telling you, they were going to score. And Glover Quinn said, nah, we're not even, first play of the possession, we ain't even having that. We're not even going to allow it to get to that point. Poke the ball free, cookies, thanks, drive safely. That's winning football. That is what good defenses do. They shut the door. Shut the door. It was slightly ajar. Shut the door. Lock it. Throw the key away. Game time. That's what you got to do in this league. 14-7, got to make it stand. It's got to be enough. Your offense didn't have any more to give in this game. Nothing more to give. Hell, even Matt Prater was off in this game. There was no more points to be scored by the Lions in this game. They were done. 14 was going to have to be enough. And because of your defense, it was. Big ups to the Z-Man, Zach Zenner, for going and recovering that damn fumble. If he doesn't hustle, and I've seen enough offensive guys stand around and look clueless on a play like that, where they're not sure, but they like, hey, no way, that's not a fumble. And they don't go chase. If he doesn't go chase that football down, and he allows a Viking to go chase that ball down, different ball game. It's small plays like that don't show up on the stat sheet, that nobody's talking about, that save games. Instead of that turning into 1st and 10 from the Lions 17, Vikings in scoring position, with a chance to take the lead, tie the game, whatever, that's a punt. Let your defense play. That's big time. It's the little things. It's the attention to details that win you football games. Nobody's going to be singing the praises of Zach Zenner today, but that was a game saver. I watched the Jaguars not touch Bilal Powell as he jumped over a pile, assuming he was down, allowed the man to get up and run for 75 yards and a touchdown. That's what happens when you assume. Don't assume a damn thing. I watched Jets players stand around as a backwards pass was fumbled, but they assumed it was incomplete, while Miles Jack scoops it up and runs for a touchdown. Don't assume anything. It's big boy football. I watched the Falcons players assume that Matt Ryan's arm was going forward as a rookie, Tre'Davious White, scoops up a fumble and rumbles. Young man rumbles for a touchdown. Changed the whole complexity of the game. Don't assume. Just do. As for the Vikings in this game, you lost this game, but you lost a lot more in this game. Let's start with the defense. We'll get to the somber part of things. We'll start with the defense. Boy, you whooped Matt Stafford's ass. You assaulted him. And you're good for that. Every year you do the same thing. Every year. You do the same thing. You whoop Matthew Stafford's ass. Sacked him 5 or 6 times in this game. Hit him another 2 or 3 times. You were on his ass. And defensively, I know you get tired of hearing this. You did enough to win. You gave up 14 points in this game. You gave up 14 points. I don't know what else you can do other than create turnovers, which you didn't do in this game. You almost did, but you didn't. I don't know what else you're supposed to do, honestly. Could you have stopped the run better? Sure, you could have stopped the run better. Could you have forced a turnover too? Absolutely, that would have been nice. But if you give up 14 in this league, you're supposed to win every time. 14 is supposed to be enough defensively for your offense to win the football game. And sadly, it wasn't enough in this game. But you did your part. You harassed Matthew Stafford. You kept this Lions offense off kilter and out of rhythm. They ran the football a lot more effectively than I would have thought going into the game, but it didn't really make a dent on the scoreboard. So defensively, you did enough. You did enough. There were plays to be made in this game. You know, you didn't make them, but you did enough. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Offensively, Case Keenum didn't lose you the game. Like, I don't know what else to say. Case Keenum actually was not the cause of this loss. He actually did his job. He actually put you in a position to have a chance to win. And it was everybody else around him that let him down. Unfortunately, Dalvin Cook fumbles on a play where he tears his ACL, and that's the biggest loss of this game, not the actual loss itself. You could have took this loss if you would have had Dalvin Cook for the remainder of the season. The reason this loss is tough to swallow is because the most productive back you got is done for the year. And I heard that he tore his ACL completely, which, if my memory serves me correctly, I've heard that that's the best way to do it. A clean tear is easier to repair. That's what I've been told. A wise man once told me that. So it sounds gruesome that it's torn completely off the bone, but I've also heard that's the best way to have it be done. It's easier to repair that way. But in any event, he's done for the season regardless. And what this does to your offense is it takes you all the way back to square one. You remember last year with Matt Asiata and the secret weapon struggling in the backfield? You remember that? God, that was brutal. Man, no one wants to see that again. That's where you're back to. You're back to the secret weapon, and at least you got another guy that can potentially start for you that you got from the Raiders. But he doesn't have any confidence right now. And the reason why the Raiders let him go is because he's not really that good. Like, he was a dime a dozen back. Latavius Murray is a dime a dozen NFL running back. You get those types of guys anywhere. Get those guys off the streets. You undraft those guys out of college football. It's part of the reason why there wasn't a lot of offers out there for him in free agency. Now, granted, he was injured and needed surgery, and teams knew this. Didn't matter. I don't think there would have been a ton of teams beating down the door for the services of Latavius Murray in free agency. So now you've got to make do with Latavius Murray, and hopefully he gets back to some semblance of the back that he was in Oakland, and the secret weapon, Jerick McKinnon. Cook was on pace to be one of the best backs in the league this year. He was on pace in this game for a 100-yard effort. He was averaging over 5 yards a carry. He was averaging almost 7 yards a carry throughout this season. The guy was insane this year for you. And now he's gone. Just like that. Poof, pow, he's gone. That hurts more than any loss in this game. And he only fumbled on that play because he tore his ACL. That wasn't Glover Quinn putting his helmet on the football and making a sensational play. The man tore his ACL. The moment he tore his ACL, he could give a damn about the football. That's not the first person, won't be the last player I ever see fumble the ball because he's torn his ACL. I remember very distinctly watching Santonio Holmes out in space in a ball game. Literally, juke a guy, tear his ACL, and in mid-flight, as he's falling to the ground, say, "To hell with the football. Ah! My ACL. Take the ball. I don't want it." Scoop and score. Nobody gives a damn about the football when their ACL is gone. They're in pain. So that's why he fumbled that one. They had a muffed exchange. You guys had a muff exchange on read option with the secret weapon and Murray in the game. Or Cook might have still been in at that point. Just unforced errors. Your one legit fumble, was the Glover Quinn forced fumble of Adam Thielen at the end of the ball game, which sealed it for the Lions. Unforced errors. Careless mistakes. Your ball handling was poor in this game. All three of your fumbles could have been avoided. All three of them. That was a great play by Glover Quinn at the end of the game. I must give him credit. To poke that one free from behind, that's gorgeous. But it could have been avoided if Thielen puts the football away. So, the offense, They didn't get it done in this game. And it wasn't because they were inefficient. They moved the football enough to be effective. They just didn't get it done. They turned it over. They had poor ball handling. Give credit to the Lions. They forced the issue. But there were some unforced errors in this game. And then that fourth down play, 4th and goal, down at the, let's call it the 6-yard line. You can't have a free hitter coming off the edge unblocked. I'm going to put that on Case Keenum. He's probably going to put that on the offensive line. There was a disconnect there. There's no way that the right tackle should be blocking down and your right guard is blocking nobody on that play. It's not like they came with a heavy overload blitz and you had to slide protection to pick it up. That man was on the defensive line and nobody blocked him. As if you were doing a rollout play away from his side and you didn't need to pick him up. That was a straight drop back and nobody picked up Anthony Zettel. Can't happen. Not with the game on the line. That can't happen. But it did. And to me, that was a microcosm of this game. Too many mistakes. You can't beat good teams in this league making the types of mistakes you made in this game and expect to win. Just not going to happen. And it didn't happen. And not only did you lose the game, but you lost your best running back. That hurts. And I don't know what your quarterback situation is going to be moving forward, but without Dalvin Cook, this team is in trouble. I'm just telling you. Lions get it done 14-7, go to 3-1 on the season, remain tied atop the NFC North Division with the Green Bay Packers at 3-1. Vikings drop to 2-2 in the division, a game back of both these Lions and the Green Bay Packers. Lions are now 1-0 in the division. The Vikings are now 0-1 in the division. I don't think they played either Green Bay or Chicago yet. So they're now 0-1 in the division. As we get to your comments, see if you have any about this game. Silver V says, do you think the Lions just might have the coach of the year on their sideline? It's possible. I love the fact that they went ahead and gave him the extension because he deserved it. And if they continue to do the things that they've done in this season, in this young season, over the remainder of the season, he's going to be a big-time candidate for coach of the year. No doubt about it. What he's doing with this football team is he's changing the identity of what they like to do, the philosophy, and he's instilling a winning culture. And it's impressive. Now, he's not the only coach that's balling right now, but he's one of a short list of guys that have their team in a great position to start this season out. And so it's early to be talking coach of the year, but he's thrown his name in the hat early. But again, this season is so young. It's so much more to be told that it's hard to start talking about awards being given out at this point. Camden Dorian says, whatever happened to Bridgewater? He hurt himself really bad. Now, he's supposed to be eligible to come back in like week 8, in or around week 8 or so. So that's when you start seeing him, starts hearing his name mentioned. Is he practicing? What does he look like? Because he's got a legit opportunity to get his job back. If Sam Bradford was playing the type of ball that he played in week 1 versus the Saints, even if he was healthy, I don't think Teddy Bridgewater was getting his job back. But now with Bradford being injured, it's anybody's guess. Whoever's healthiest may be the ones playing. So he's on the PUP list right now. He's got a chance to return, I think, after week 8. We'll see what happens. Isaac Schnook says the Vikings, I feel, have an injury curse. Cook non-contact, Bradford magically injured, and of course Teddy B. Yeah, no one even. I think I remember vaguely what happened to Bradford. We just didn't know because he wasn't showing any ill effects of it during the game. But I do remember him getting hit low in that ball game early. But it didn't seem to faze him, so we just assumed he was fine. But the adrenaline was pumping, and he was able to finish out the game, and then once the adrenaline subsides and the swelling commences, then you know something's wrong, and then you see, okay, he might have some structural damage. I think that's what happened to Bradford. In any event, they've had some gruesome injuries in Minnesota. I mean, you could throw AP in there, AD in there when he was there. How many times did he tear his ACL or have something catastrophic happen to him on non-contact injuries? Stephen M. says, I had Cook and Montgomery in both my leagues. Being a Vikings fan, on top of that, I don't think that this sour feeling in my stomach won't go away for a while. Yeah, that's rough. Cook was playing outstanding football, and he was a huge part of what they did offensively. I mean, there were games where he had 27 carries this season. They were really heavily relying on his production out of the backfield as a pass catcher and in the backfield. And he was also protecting well on third downs. They're going to miss his production. They're going to miss him on the football field. You had the game plan to stop Dalvin Cook. That's a huge part of their offense now gone for the remainder of the season. Silver V says, do you think Murray will be the running back going forward, or will they bring in another? They'll probably either move a guy up from the practice squad if they have one on their practice squad, or they'll have to go out and sign another one if they don't have another guy right now. But Murray will be the new running back. But we'll see what happens. If he doesn't play well, they'll bench him quickly. I just remember them having some funk back there last year. Asiata Ham was back there, I believe. And the secret weapon, it was bad last year. But the offensive line was horrible last year too, so we'll see. Damon Brown says, I was a huge Teddy Bridgewater fan coming out of college, but honestly, I think Sam Bradford might be better overall quarterback, but the Vikings tried to trade Bridgewater then. No, they're not going to get anything for Bridgewater. He's damaged goods right now. In order for them to try to trade anybody, they would have to, one, stay healthy, which neither one of these quarterbacks have been able to do. And two, they would have to show that not only are they healthy, but they can perform at a high level. You're not going to be able to just trade a guy just because. You can't trade him off of his old merit. He's got to not only come back, because remember, Teddy Bridgewater pre-injury he was just a guy at quarterback. They thought he was about to take that next step and become more than just a caretaker of the football. But remember, before the injury, Teddy Bridgewater was just a guy at quarterback. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Just a guy. He was Jag. So he's got to come back and be just a guy first and then take the next step. And it's going to take a while for him to have confidence in his knee. It's going to take a while for that to happen. So I don't see them being able to trade him. And there's no value there right now. Camden Dorian says, I don't know if you heard, but Mariota has a hamstring issue. Yeah, I talked about that. I don't know the severity of it. Everybody knows he's got a hamstring. The question is, and I'm going to check and see if we've gotten a report. Looks like I got a report now. So it says Titans could wait until Sunday to decide if they will start Marcus Mariota or Matt Cassell. So it sounds like it's just a hamstring strain. That's it. So that's great news. If he's got to sit out a game, so be it. But that's great news. If it was torn or if it was severely damaged, he could have been out 4 to 6 weeks, possibly longer. That would have been detrimental to the Titans season, but it's just a strain. And much like Derek Carr, both teams avoided disaster with their quarterbacks going down for the second year in a row on the same exact day. Nonetheless, Lions get it done 14-7, move to 3-1 on the season, tied with the Packers atop the NFC North Division. Meanwhile, the Vikings take a step back at 2-2 with this loss, and they lose even more than just a game, losing running back Dalvin Cook for the season with a torn ACL. It's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Lockdown Coverage. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Got more games to come. As a matter of fact, On the horizon is Carolina, New England, Philadelphia, and the Chargers, Giants, and Bucks, and finishing up with 49ers at the Cards. So busy day still ahead leading up to Monday Night Football. I'll continue to break these games down. You know where to find me. I'll be back in about 2 or 3 hours, and we'll knock the rest of these games down. I'll see you then. Have a good one. I'm your man, Louie T. Signing off. See you later.